Missing persons and abductions transfix us. It could happen to any of us at any time. Plus, these cases are giving us a chance to feel like we're actively helping. Just sharing a photo on social media may be able to help return a missing person home safely. Like in the case of Jayme Closs, a Wisconsin teen who recently escaped captivity. She freed herself, but was aided by a local woman who instantly recognized her after following the case on social media. Here to talk more about Jayme's case, among other things, is a man whose mission in life is missing persons. Now, you've seen him on In Pursuit with John Walsh, catching those dirtbags with his father. Also, he has a day job at the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Please welcome Callahan Walsh. Hi, Callahan.
Appreciate the kind words. You know, we're out there every day trying to battle back.
We're talking about Jayme Closs. Are you pretty familiar with that case?
Absolutely, a case that we were adamantly trying to solve, but some real twists and turns in the case that I think nobody really expected.
It's a wonderful ending to a very tragic story, and it begins with her abductor killing her parents in front of her. Is that common? It's
not. This case was very unique, and at first we were very unsure of if Jayme had any reason to want her parents dead.
Right.
Of course, we were always siding with the victim until we have further information, but it was something that you never know. And so it was found out that her and her abductor never had any contact, social media or otherwise, before the case. And so it was a true stranger abduction. This guy picked her out, followed the bus, surfing behind the bus.
That's a thing that abductors do. They bus chase.
It is. When it comes to stranger abductions, that can be typical.
What was the percentage of likelihood that Jayme Closs would be returned home to her family?
Well, there's a difference between her being recovered dead and recovered alive. The chances of her being recovered alive after 88 days were very slim, especially in the way that she was abducted.
The flip of Jayme Closs, and a case that we're fascinated by and we continue to talk about, is Kyron Horman.
Sure.
Speculation has it that it's his stepmom that abducted him.
There is speculation. She's never been charged. So it's a very difficult question to answer, and I think that's why it's been kept up in the media, because nobody has the answer to that. The only person that knows what happened to Kyron is Kyron and the person that abducted him.
How do you take the steps to preventing that to happening to your own family?
We have a program called Kid Smarts. It's a prevention education program for children. It uses the 4 rules of personal safety. So the 4 rules of personal safety are check first, and that's check with your parent or guardian before going anywhere with another adult or accepting anything. Number 2 is take a friend, so use the buddy system. Number 3 is say no. You know, a lot of kids are taught to respect elders and be polite, but they have a right for personal safety and to feel safe. So if anything makes them feel sad, scared, confused, or uncomfortable, to make sure that they say no. And lastly, number 4 is tell a trusted adult. If anybody tries to grab you, pull you away, abduct you, or touch you inappropriately, you need to tell a trusted adult.
Now, this has been a family business of yours for so long, and obviously a lot of tragedy within your own personal family, and now you've made a whole career of this. How do you stay positive?
Well, look, I live in this underbelly of society. This issue is inherently dark and hard to talk about. It's hard to deal with, but it's when we get these recoveries that make it all worthwhile. When we get captures on In Pursuit with John Walsh, when we get recoveries of missing children at the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, that's why we do what we do.
So speaking of In Pursuit, which is your and your father's show, you guys just had a social media win recently.
Absolutely. We had an incredible recovery of the first fugitive that we profiled on In Pursuit, Luis Frias. He was wanted by the U.S. Marshals, a guy that murdered his common-law wife, Jeanette Reyna. They separated. They had 3 children together. He stabs her over 41 times. He takes off to Mexico. We profile him on In Pursuit with John Walsh on Investigation Discovery, and one of our viewers in Mexico calls in a direct tip. The Marshals went down there, and Jeanette Reyna was a former law enforcement member. They actually gave the Marshals her state-issued handcuffs, and they slapped those handcuffs on Luis Frias and brought him back to the United States. And if that's not poetic justice, I don't know what is.
Oh, I love that so much.
We can't do what we do without our fans. It's you guys who give us those tips every week. And so, you know, the show In Pursuit with John Walsh is on Investigation Discovery Wednesday nights. We also have a Facebook page, In Pursuit with John Walsh, where we have an after show where I provide case updates and new information. It's a true partnership that we have with our fans. We can't do it without them.
Callahan Walsh, thank you so much for coming on and enlightening us. And again, thank you so much for doing what you do. You are genuinely changing the world.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate the kind words.
My next guest is the director of the new documentary that's inspired lots of conversation, lots of questions, and lots of memes on social media. Please welcome Skye Borgman, the director of Abducted in Plain Sight. Now, spoiler alert, if you haven't watched yet, I'm sorry. Jan, a 12-year-old girl, was kidnapped twice by a much older man who was a friend of the family. And here's what makes it really, really twisted. Not only did this 40-something-year-old man have a sexual relationship with a 12-year-old, he also had sexual relations with both her mother and her father, and used those relationships as a way to blackmail them into keeping quiet about all of the abuse. And that is just the tip of the iceberg.
I entered into a homosexual relationship with her father in order to have access to Jayme.
So a big thing on the internet right now is that the parents are lying.
Right.
Do you believe the parents?
I totally believe the parents.
You do. Even though the dad omitted the whole affair from the book, and that you didn't even get that information until you saw the FBI files, right? Did that lead you to believe that there was more secrets that they were keeping?
I think, shame is such a huge emotion, and it drives people to do impossible things or not do things. And so I think shame was huge for Bob. And this was one of the biggest things, the biggest secrets of his life. And so when he finally did tell us about what had happened, he'd been carrying the secret for 40 years.
I did the worst thing I've ever done. As far as
I think it was really a burden lifted off his shoulders.
Oh, you could see it on his face
I know.
In the confessionals.
I think he surprised himself too, because I don't think that he was expecting to tell us.
So how did you gain their trust? Because it is so intimate and they're divulging secrets to you that they've never said out loud.
Yeah, I think a lot of it was we were 3 women who walked into their house. It's a very female house. We cooked with them, we did dishes with them, we played with the grandkids, Bob was on the piano playing.
Do you feel almost a little protective of them?
Yeah, I have to be protective of them, but I also have to tell the truth. And so that's, I think, one of the most difficult things about making documentaries really is that you're constantly weighing those 2 elements to the story, and it's really sort of that balancing act that's incredibly difficult.
Now, if B was still alive, what questions would you want to ask him?
Oh, I think I'd really like to know if he felt that his proclivities were wrong. I guess and not even what he did, but how he feels, and if that was something that he did any kind of self-reflection on. That would be really interesting.
Because this wasn't his first rodeo. He was doing this with tons of other girls.
I'd also be very interested to know how, if he could sit down and watch the documentary, if he would think that it was an authentic telling or not.
You know what I loved about your movie was how beautifully it was shot.
Oh, gosh,
Oh,
thanks.
my God. I love the style of it. How did you get that kind of inspiration for it?
Well, I knew that I wanted to be able to transport people back in time, because I feel like the time period was very important. The 70s was a very important time, and to give it that kind of context was important to me. And also, Jan is this beautiful woman in her 50s in her interview, not a 12-year-old little girl. And so I wanted to be able to show this little girl. And I knew that we had to do recreations, and I wanted to give them a very home movie kind of feel.
So along with being a brilliant director, you're also a DP for true crime recreations on ID.
Yes.
So our fans are obsessed with a good recreation, which you do very well. Is there a couple of little BTS, little behind the scenes things that you can sprinkle in for us?
The blood, right? Blood is always fun. It's super sticky.
Is it?
It's so sticky.
What would you liken it to?
K-Rose syrup. It's so sticky and it's so messy. Like on my knees with a camera, I'm doing all sorts of different things. So I walk home and I've got blood all over my pants, I've got blood in my hair, I've got blood, everywhere. And and then you're getting it in your car. It's just, it's not fun.
That's not a fun perk of the most awesome job ever.
Right.
Skye Borgman, thank you so much for coming on and hanging out with us. I really, really appreciate it. You guys can watch Abducted in Plain Sight streaming on Netflix right now. Thank you again for being here. Finally, as promised, a chance for you to weigh in. We asked you to talk to us, and my friends, you did. A lot of you had a lot to say about Chris Watts. Kat said there was just something about him. Oh, and the way he kept his arms folded in front of him and kind of rocking, all signs pointing to his guilt. Lindy commented saying, pretty sure he's going to be very popular in prison. And actually, you are right, Lindy, but not in the ways that you're thinking. Women have been sending him love letters and bikini photos in prison. On a serious note, something that we didn't get to mention in last week's episode, his girlfriend is in witness protection program because she was getting so much vicious hate mail. And then there's Chris Watts in prison getting bikini pics and love letters after he murdered his pregnant wife and 2 daughters. That is more than a double standard. That's despicable. I also read that he's been using his prison money to buy donuts, so at least he's getting fat. So I've been thinking about a post in the Crime Obsession Facebook group for a while now. Kim Bingham Roberts asked the following question. You've been kidnapped. Your kidnappers allow you to keep posting to social media to pretend everything is all right. What would you post that would alarm your followers without the kidnappers knowing that you're asking for help? Vicky posted, I'm not enjoying retirement. Maybe I'll go back to work. Ooh, good one, Vicky. Lynn commented, no, thank you. I don't want that glass of wine, said the girl who never refuses a glass of wine. Cheers, Lynn. And for the record, if I ever post, I love sports teams, please come help me. All right, that's our show. Thank you to Callahan, thank you to Skye, thank you to you guys for watching and joining the Facebook group. Please share the cases you're following. Don't forget, use the hashtag MyCrimeObsession, and we'll see you next time. Bye.